day. And yeah, I woke up a little bit tired this morning, but it's going to be a nice day up here in Canada South. Going to be a high of around 75, currently 54, which is actually probably my one about my favorite temp range. Not too hot, not too cold. And we have a waxing gibbous moon, so we're coming up into the full moon here. Um, so I guess people are going to be testy today. I can't wait. So we're in a study of Job, and we're in Job chapter 39. And God, he transitions in his speech from creation as a whole, um, to individual creation and individual um, uh, animals and purposes of creation. And so he says in 39:1, do you not know the mountain goats um, that give birth? Do you observe the calving of the does? See, he's getting into time, right? He's talking about time. Can you number the months, right? Can you number the months that they fulfill? Do you know the time when they give birth, right? Can you predict that? No, because God does. God knows that. He's already been there and seen that. And so, he's trying to, he's using this poetry to open Job's eyes, his inner eye as well, that he's in control of time, and he knows when a wicked person is going to birth their punishment, or a righteous person is going to um, birth uh, their repentance, or their overcoming of sin, or their turning to Him, their testifying of God. God knows that, and you know He knows when those pains, those childbearing pains, those birth produce um, life. Now, sometimes, sometimes they produce death, especially in that time, right? Especially in that time. So, just because God's not working in our timing doesn't mean He doesn't see it, and doesn't mean He doesn't know it, and doesn't mean that He's not letting it happen. All right. Then he moves on to the wild donkey, right? Who has let the wild donkey go free? See, the wild donkey is um, extremely wild, right? And it lives in wastelands, and it 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 does what it wants, goes where it wants, right? And so, who's let him go free? Who has loosed the bonds of the swift donkey, to whom I have given the arid plain for his home? See, the arid plain, and the salt land for his dwelling place, right? He scorns the tumult of the city. So there's freedom in God's will. See, that's what God's trying to say. There's freedom in my will, right? And you know, um, just because it looks bad for them, um, how they look on us. So, hey, worker blocks, hey, um, and so this wild donkey, and we think he's like, um, got it bad living in the plain, but he looks on us, and he says he scorns the tumult of the city and hears not the shouts of the driver. He ranges the mountains as his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. See, um, just because it's bad for them doesn't mean they envy us, right? And so, you know, he, um, God, he um, creates our purpose and our circumstances for our purpose, right? They match. And so, if for Job to question, why do the wicked thrive and why do the righteous um, have it so bad? Well, he's created the circumstances for the creation, right? There's a purpose. And a lot of times we question it, or we um, wonder why it's so bad for us. Well, because there is a purpose, right? There is a purpose. Now, I know sometimes that's not so comforting, but we have to trust, right? We have to trust. Sometimes uh, righteous suffer all the way in this life until the next life, and live their best life in the next life. And that's hard, right? That's hard to stomach. That's hard to say. Can I ask you a serious question? Because it's not written by a man. It's not written by a man. It's God breathed. It's God breathed. It's man is the instrument of God. God wrote it. God is real, but not in man's book. Yeah, see that, right? It is. You're right. It is. It is written by God. The wings. So the wild ox is kind of known for powerful, and being powerful, and is kind of tears things up, right? Is known as a powerful and a terror, and you can look that up in Numbers 23. So the wild ox, can you can is the wild ox to serve you, right? What is the purpose? And so, just like Job complaining about the wicked people, so is God saying, are the wicked people supposed to serve you? No, no. We all serve God. See, we all serve God. Will he spend the night at your manger? Can you bind him in the furrow with ropes? No, you cannot. Right? No, you cannot. Will you depend on him because his strength is great? And will you leave him your labor? No, you will not. Right? No. Um, and so, you know, we, okay, and as we're envying or wondering or questioning God, right? That's something boiling up inside, right? Something boiling up inside. So we have to submit that. We have to tame that. We have to give that over to God, because only God can do it. Otherwise, we're really just a wild ox. We cannot be tamed. Then he moves into um, the wings of the ostrich. Now, there's a parallel, or a paradox here. Sorry, a paradox. Ostriches are stupid, right? They're kind of dumb. They're kind of just out there. Um, the wings of the ostrich wave proudly, but are they pinions and plumage of love? See, ostriches don't fly. They have wings, but they do not fly, right? And for she leaves her eggs to the earth and lets them be warmed on the ground, forgetting that a foot may crush them. So, in their purpose, they have faith and they don't have to worry about anything because they're living for their purpose. Even if their purpose is seemingly meaningless to us, it's not to God, right? It's not to God. And so, um, as we submit ourselves to God in our purpose, we actually have freedom, right? We actually have freedom in that. Then he moves on, God, in 19 through 25, to the war horse. And in the time, the war horse is uh, majestic, and it is looked at as a symbol of power and might. And so, do you give the horse his might, right? Do I give the war horse might, right? Did the captain of the guard give the war horse might, right? Do you clothe his neck with a mane? No, God does. God gave him the might, not us. Do you make him leap like the locust, right? His majestic snorting is terrifying. He paws at the valley and exults in his strength. He goes out to meet the weapons. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed. He does not turn back from the sword. Upon him rattle the quiver and flashing spear and the javelin. With fierceness and rage he swallows the ground as he runs towards the battle. He swallows the ground. He eats it up. Um, when the trumpet sounds, he says, "Aha!" He smells the battle from the thunder of the captains and the shouting. So we can train. We can train something to love something that it shouldn't love, right? Who loves war, right? Who loves war unless they're trained that way? See, does the war horse have freedom in his captivity? Well, he's trained, right? He's trained against his nature to salivate for war, right? He's trained that, but, or is he? See, or is he? Did God choose him for that? Is that the purpose God made him for? And it all came together and it was all wrapped up into that time, that place for the horse to um, be subdued, to be um, robed and garbed for war and trained to hear the sound of the trumpet, right? Is it by chance? No. No, it's by purpose. It's by God's will. It's by um, his understanding, right? Not ours. See, and God will use people, right, powerful and sinful for his purposes. He'll also use the weak and righteous for his purposes as well. And so we just gotta be willing to submit to it and not resist it. See, and then he moves on to a final paradox, right? And he says in verse 26, "Is it by your understanding that the hawk soars and spreads his wings toward the south? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high?" See, these are predatory birds, right? The hawk is a predator and he soars and he watches above. And the eagle, now the eagles power throughout history. Um, in the Roman Empire, especially, the eagle is a pet to Jupiter, right? So the Roman god used a pet eagle. He had a pet eagle. He had an eagle. So he subdued a predatory, powerful bird, right? And so um, is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and takes his nest on high? Is it at our command? Right, Job, does the eagle do that at your command? No, sir. No, he doesn't. Right, he doesn't. Um, from here, he spies out at the prey. His eyes behold it from far away. His young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there he is. See, prey cannot overcome the predator without God. See, and God will use the predator and give it time to turn and turn us, right? And um, the other thing here is, notice he passes it to his children. Now, when you look at all this together in God's sovereign plan and how he is the potter, right? And he puts it all together. Think about the war horse and what's left behind. Then here it says, his young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there he is. See, the young ones, they haven't been able to become the predator yet, so they have to kind of scavenge. And that blood thirst, it trains them so they salivate for war. You see how that works? Right? And so, the whole, you know, we have to subdue our hearts, right, to be submissive to God. Otherwise, our sin runs away with us. We taste the blood and then we chase it, right? And we do what we're not supposed to do. What we're not called to do. But when we act in His gifting and we do what He says, then we um, we thrive, right? We thrive in his sovereignty. All right, let's look at this a little bit. Conversation shows the close trapped cult mindset, but actually it shows the freedom. And I'm not closed-minded, I'm very open-minded. You have to be open-minded to see God in everything. So that, I mean, you just kind of, ace of spade, you debunked your whole thing. Lost soul, sad, one day your worship God and only God, not a book. uh, God is real but not in your book. Well, I don't know what God you believe in and how you even know him if you don't believe that he left you uh, his book, his book for understanding, right? Because faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of God. If you don't believe the book, then you believe a lie. If you don't believe the book, you don't have faith. And see, faith is something that you will never understand. See, that's um, zero other viewers, and you don't want to have a real conversation. Sure, I do. I love to have a real conversation. All right, but I gotta go hit my push-ups. Have a good one, Ace of Spade. Maybe I'll catch you tomorrow.